At Airbase K7, Clara Wynn 51 is just a mechanic. She is invisible, her overalls are greasy, her eyes are on everything. The arrogant young pilots mock her. The faint falcon tattoo on her arm hides a mysterious past. The flight simulator is broken, the pilots are failing miserably. They blame the system. Clara stands silently watching the officers' heated argument. She has seen what they could not. In the dark, Clara climbs into the cockpit of the Viper, without hesitation. All around, the soldiers are stunned. The runway lights are bright. She is ready to take off. In the sky, Clara flies the Viper through the canyon at breakneck speed. Sweat beading. Enemy missiles explode behind her. The screen is chaotic, but she remains calm, in control of the battle. Clara returns, her face covered in dirt, tired but calm.
Thanks.
The entire base stands silent, full of respect. The colonel saluted her. She nodded, wiped her hands, and quietly returned to the hangar. The hero was back with the machine. The only sound she trusted was the hum of machines. At Airbase K7, nestled in a frostbitten corner of the world, Clara Wynn was known only as the Tech. She wasn't part of the glory. No wings on her chest, no call sign echoing through the loudspeakers, just coveralls smeared with hydraulic fluid, a name tag barely readable, and eyes that saw too much. At 51, Clara walked like someone who used to run, deliberate, quiet, invisible to the very men whose lives depended on her work. The pilots called her Clara with the same tone they'd use for a janitor or a malfunctioning coffee machine. They pointed, complained, demanded. Sim 2's yaw input is lagging again. Throttle on Sim 5 feels mushy. She didn't argue. She didn't speak. She just listened, past their arrogance, beyond their posturing, and got to work. Her hands, calloused and scarred, moved with precision. She didn't fix machines. She communed with them. She felt the pulse of every circuit, the ache of every joint, like a seasoned surgeon reading a body's pain through touch. The simulators weren't systems to her. They were creatures, aging beasts groaning under the weight of data, duty, and repetition. And she understood every breath they took. To Colonel Marsh, the base commander, Clara Wynn was a logistical nuisance, an overpaid civilian with a maintenance contract. He tolerated her presence like mold in a pipe, necessary to avoid failure, but best unseen. Her orders were simple: keep the simulators at 95% readiness. No one asked her opinions. No one asked her history. But at night, when the hangar emptied, she would slip into the pilot's seat of Sim 1, alone, silent, with her fingers resting on the throttle and stick, her eyes closed, remembering a rhythm long buried. No one saw that part of her. No one noticed how her hand hesitated just above the controls, as if asking permission from ghosts. Clara Wynn was not there to be noticed. But war has a way of finding even the ghosts. It started with a whisper. Enemy patrols skirting the northern border, testing response times, slipping just past radar edges. Then the whisper turned into a roar. Intelligence called it Cobra, a next-generation fighter that defied physics and logic. It wasn't just fast. It danced in the air like nothing they'd seen, pulling post-stall pirouettes, flipping nose first out of impossible angles, slicing through their airspace like a ghost. The Viper pilots, hotshots like Lieutenant Kyle Ace Renner and Lieutenant Devin Blaze Kwan, were no longer laughing in the briefing room. They were dying in the simulators. The standard training software failed miserably. Every time the AI Cobra executed one of its reality-breaking maneuvers, the simulation glitched, crashed, or turned into spaghetti code. The pilots walked out frustrated, cursing the tech, their confidence unraveling with each mission. "You want us to fight a damn ghost with training wheels?" Ace barked one afternoon, slamming his helmet on a bench. "This is garbage." In a closed-door meeting, Colonel Marsh gathered his top brass. The air was thick with tension. A young simulation officer, Captain Drexler, tried to explain. "Sir, the Cobra's high-alpha maneuvers, like that reverse yaw spiral, they're beyond our engine's envelope. The physics can't keep up." At the back of the room, silent as always, Clara stood with her hands folded. She was there to answer technical questions, None were asked. It's like trying to make a brick fly, Drexler continued. The software just breaks. The AI can't replicate it accurately. What we need is a miracle. Marsh leaned back, jaw locked. Miracles are expensive. That night, Clara didn't go home. Instead, she returned to the simulators and sat alone in the bay under flickering halogen lights. She didn't tweak parameters. She didn't debug. She dove straight into the forbidden core, the physics engine, and rewrote the laws inside it. She wasn't following specs. She wasn't relying on code. She was remembering. The way lift felt when an airframe fought the stall, the pitch of the fuselage under violent vector thrust, the scent of melted rubber after a hard bank. Clara didn't read books about flight. She remembered flight. She fed her memories into the machine. She turned the simulator into something terrifyingly accurate, something brutally real. The next morning, Drexler tried the new sim build. Within 90 seconds, the Cobra executed a maneuver that made him scream. It was perfect, elegant, predatory, terrifying. The program didn't crash. It hunted him like a ghost with teeth. 5 simulated deaths later, Drexler staggered from the cockpit, pale and soaked in sweat. "It's not a simulation," he whispered. "It's murder." Word spread fast. Pilots refused to train. Egan stormed into Colonel Marsh's office, furious. "She made it impossible." Clara stood nearby, polishing a monitor. For the first time, she looked up. "It's not impossible," she said calmly. "It's just difficult." Their target, a slow-moving RC-135 surveillance aircraft, heavy with intelligence tech, utterly defenseless. A high-value asset too big to hide, too slow to flee. "Scramble Renner and Quan," Colonel Marsh ordered, his voice brittle stone. "Now!" Ace and Blaze sprinted for their Vipers, their adrenaline honed by 1,000 drills. Within minutes, they tore into the sky, blue icons rising on the display. But something was wrong. "They're on me, Jesus. They're turning inside my radius." Blaze's voice cracked over comms. "These things move like the damn sim," Ace muttered. "Exactly like the sim." Silence swept through the control room. Egan went pale. Marsh's knuckles turned white. Everyone understood. Clara's impossible simulation was real. Before they could react, a different crisis detonated. Alarms screamed. Monitors blinked. Red alerts flooded the cyber terminal. "We're under cyber attack," a young tech yelled. "They're in our flight line systems. We can't launch backups." The enemy wasn't just in the sky. They were in the walls. Fighters couldn't be scrambled. Fuel systems froze. Launch bays locked. And Ace was running out of sky. In the chaos, one figure didn't panic. Clara moved like she always had, quiet, focused, precise. Ignoring shouted orders, she slid into an old engineering terminal. "Ma'am, that's restricted," a cyber officer stammered. She didn't answer. Her fingers blurred across the keyboard, diving into ancient code nobody else had touched in decades. She bypassed the infected systems, severed critical flight infrastructure from the compromised network, then initiated a manual hard reboot from a buried subroutine. Lights flickered. Green returned. "We're back online," someone gasped. But it was too late. Ace's Viper streamed black smoke. Blaze was already down. The enemy was closing. Only one Viper remained armed and ready on the emergency pad, and no pilot in reach could make it to the cockpit in time. Colonel Marsh turned in despair, only to find Clara already looking at him. "I can fly it," she said. The room froze. "You're a civilian technician," Marsh snapped, grasping for protocol as the sky burned. Before he could finish, a voice interrupted. Airman Brody, the quiet kid who'd always watched her. "Sir, with all due respect, she knows those jets better than the people who built them. I need a pilot, not a mechanic." 2 words silenced the room. "Call sign Wraith." Clara rolled up her sleeve. The ink was faded but unmistakable. A stylized hawk diving at full tilt. A tattoo only one person ever wore. The room didn't breathe. At the back, a grizzled comm sergeant whispered like a prayer. "Wraith? From the Zarian conflict? She's her?" Colonel Marsh stared at Clara like he was seeing her for the first time. No longer a smudged silhouette in coveralls, but a revenant. Go, he said. She was already moving. All out. Clara didn't run. She moved with a predator's certainty, focused, unstoppable. The ground crew froze when they saw her sprinting toward the last Viper in coveralls and boots. Ma'am, you're not authorized, one started. She didn't even slow. Get out of my way, she said, her voice laced with the unmistakable authority of someone who'd once led squadrons into fire. The crew chief stopped cold. Inside the cockpit, her hands moved on instinct. Switches flipped, diagnostics checked, engines roared to life. No checklist, no hesitation, only ritual born of repetition and blood. She launched into a vertical climb so aggressive it made seasoned pilots wince from the telemetry alone. In the command center, silence reigned as her icon, call sign Echo 1, streaked into the combat zone. Ace's voice crackled on comms, panicked. Who the hell is Echo 1? Clara's reply was calm. Your wingman, Lieutenant. Stop turning. You're bleeding energy. Brake right. Extend. He obeyed, and a missile streaked past where he would have been. She just saved him. Then came the spectacle. Clara didn't fight the Cobras like the others had. She didn't panic. She commanded the sky. Using energy management like a weapon, she traded altitude for speed and reversed it with brutal precision. In one impossible maneuver, the same one Drexler had called a fantasy, she flipped her Viper in a flat pirouette, outmaneuvered a pursuing enemy, and tore it from the sky with a single burst of cannon fire. One down, she baited the next into a low-speed overshoot, killed her throttle, deployed brakes, and let him pass helplessly in front of her. Two down, she ordered Ace to RTB. Your bird's bleeding. Go home. He didn't argue. Yes, ma'am. She dove into the canyon, dragging the final two Cobras with her. Using terrain like a weapon, she separated them, then hunted them down one by one. Every kill was surgical, every maneuver a lesson. When the final enemy icon disappeared from the screen, the base exploded into stunned silence. Then came her voice. Sky is clear. Echo 1 returning to base. Clara's Viper touched down as if it kissed the tarmac. Flawless, measured, almost humble. The floodlights lit up the runway as the canopy opened. Cool night air brushed her face. Her eyes, once alight with precision and fury, now held only calm fatigue. The fire had burned bright. Now only embers remained. She looked up and saw them. Everyone. From the youngest airman to Colonel Marsh himself, the base had gathered in silence. No applause, no speeches, just hundreds of stunned, humbled faces. Ace stood near the front, grime still streaked across his cheek. His helmet hung loose in one hand and awe in the other. Colonel Marsh stepped forward, each boot step loud on the concrete. He stopped at the foot of her ladder, looking up, not at a technician, not even a pilot, but a legend. He raised his hand, a slow, formal salute. Clara nodded once, that was all. She climbed down, steady, quiet. She passed Marsh, past Ace, past the whispers in wide eyes. Near the edge, Airman Brody stood holding a white rag. She took it gently, wiped the grease from her hands, and handed it back. Thank you, she said. Then she walked away, back toward the silent hangar where the simulators hummed and the world made sense. The hero didn't stay for the glory. She returned to the shadows, back to the machine, back to the only music she ever needed.